Wow, with so many regions in this great world of Pokemon, there's got to be a few places you wouldn't want to settle down and live at for the rest of your life. So let's go over where I'd say would be the absolute worst places to live in every Pokemon region. Now, let me explain my grading criteria. I am judging by specifically what I myself would find the most uncomfortable to live at. I'm taking this from the eyes of a average civilian, not a trainer. Only thing I'm able to judge: towns, cities, or large-scale settlements. So, as an example, I could put something like Pewter City from Kanto, but I can't pick something like Route 7 of Unova, even though there are 2 houses located there. So, let's begin. Kanto. You'd assume I'd pick Lavender Town, right? But nah, they got a rebrand in Gen 2. Swapped that graveyard for a radio tower, threw all those corpses in Mr. Fuji's basement, so they were able to escape this list. After a thorough investigation on the Kanto region, I was left with one simple answer and have determined the worst place to live in the Kanto region of Pokemon: Cerulean City. First, it is the place where Misty lives, so already minusing some personal enjoyment points from me, but is also next to a cave with the all-powerful psychic type lab experiment that if he'd go on a rampage, my front door is his first stop. No thank you. And don't get me started on how terrible it'd be living next to the mad scientist like Bill. He's gotta turn me into a Clefairy. And the economy there is atrocious. Just look at how outrageous this bike costs. And this criminal activity? This poor man had his Dig TM stolen from him. Then we have this girl who beats her Slowbro. Truly a despicable place. I'd recommend avoiding at all costs. It does have some redeeming qualities to it. You can see the underwater ballet performance from the 3 sensational sisters. You can go and learn about berries from this kind gentleman. And this old guy, well, he grows the good stuff in his backyard. And who could forget the fantastic view from the Gold Nugget Bridge. Now for Johto, by a landslide, Blackthorn City. First, the place looks so dead. Look at these trees. Disgusting. Now those are the trees we should be complaining about, and not these ones. But the only interesting potential tourist attraction is the Dragon's Den, but you need permission to access it. What makes this city even worse is how horrible it is to get to without a flying type Pokemon. By foot, the only way to get in and out is either through a very dark cave that, unless you spam repels, you will be bombarded with Zubat. While the other end, the ice path, that if you wear the wrong footwear, you will get stuck in the ice and trapped forever until a selfless person rescues you. Then there are full-on scam artists. This one girl, Ayana, who, for the price of a pseudo-legendary Pokemon that is specifically a female Dragonair, you can get a Dodrio. What a complete ripoff. And don't get me started on Claire. If your city's poster child is a crybaby, I'd be embarrassed to live there. The only thing keeping this city from being a complete zero for tourism is it being the home of the Move Deleter and the Move Tutor. Without these 2 brave men carrying this entire city on their back, Blackthorn would be nothing. Now for Hoenn. This one actually has a lot of good examples for worse places to live, but I'm sorry, it's just facts. For example, just living in Petalburg was killing Wally due to all the ash in the air from the volcano, and once he moved to Verdant Turf, he got better. Now to Topolis City. First off, it is a city where it is basically required for you to own a water type Pokemon, so you can have full access to everything you can do around the city. I remember when I was doing my first playthrough ever of Oras 11 years ago, I had to bench my poor Swallow because I just didn't have anything that could use Surf or Dive, and therefore I had to bench one of my main team members just to access the city. Second, the city is in a literal crater with no normal entrance or exit. So first, that is just a massive OSHA violation waiting to happen at any second. But also, if there was ever any sorts of emergency, maybe like, I don't know, Groudon and Kyogre using the city as a battleground, and the people in charge of Sootopolis having zero way to protect their people. Third, these gym leaders give me a very icky vibe. First off, Wallace, one of the best gym leaders in Hoenn, a true rival to Steven Stone, the champion. What's on his team? A dick Love Disc. Juan does it too. It's so lame. Why? And it doesn't help that in his rematch battle, where he isn't holding back anymore, he uses a fucking Poliwag. And don't even get me started on the flock of women they have trapped in the gym's basement. And if that's unnerving, they let a genocidal terrorist, AZ, just walk around freely wherever he wants to go. Dude even left this massive tree here. There's barely any room for housing or any of the other essential needs of a society. This small patch of land may be tiny, but it could have been used by something more important than a damn tree. But the main contender for worst place to live is by a landslide Fall Arbor Town, which has so much scattered ash that it looks like snow. While, yes, Route 17 is one of the most iconic routes in all of Pokemon, it would still be awful for the environment. Then, we have insane people like the digging maniac trying to dig a tunnel. Where is he trying to go? I doubt this is allowed by the Hoenn government. Then, there's this guy who just won't make his Poochyena shut up, who he himself admits that his life is miserable. It's so strange. Every time I play through a Hoenn game, I always just feel my enjoyment begin to decline rapidly when I'm here. Weird. But hey, it does have a few high notes, even if there are very few of those. You could pay a visit to one of the brilliant minds, like Professor Cosmo, or the very woman behind Hoenn's PC system, Lanetta, who will even give you a Lotad or a C-Dot doll, depending on which game you are playing. Or you can go on a hike and travel through Meteor Falls, one of the most beautiful caves in this entire franchise. And finally, kick back and enjoy some of the greatest entertainment Hoenn can find at a contest. Or at least you used to be able to do that before that greedy mole rat of a man, Scott, bought out that building and made it into one of his filthy battle tents. Ugh.
Hey all, Scott here, and this is bad. Real bad.
Hey, what's the matter, my friend? You're gonna get murdered?
Sinnoh. This was the absolute most difficult to point out for me because I love Sinnoh so much. It's my favorite region. Every city and town, I can think of at least a couple redeeming qualities of living there. Celestic Town holds the last fledgling of life of the Celestica people and is the home of Cynthia and Volo and Kogita and is the heart of the history of the Sinnoh region. I love how they don't have the standard Pokemon. Value the tradition. Have simple houses that function as those buildings instead. My first idea would be Canalave City, being the usual victim of Darkrai's accidental or not nightmares. But the library with the funny books and the beautiful bridge and Byron really save it for me. So, sadly, I have to give it to Snowpoint City. I love Route 17, but hate it at the same time. As back when I was really little, I just came back from getting my eyes dilated to get new glasses, and when I got home, I wanted to keep playing my Pokemon Platinum. I just happened to have left off on Route 17, and due to getting stuck in the snow and the constant barrage of snowfall, Kid Me, with his eyes dilated, couldn't see anything, causing him to cry and think he was going blind. I have a soft spot for the route now, but I will always remember that traumatizing night. But also, Snowpoint City is the home of the largest villain in all of Pokemon. No, I am not referring to Cyrus, or Getsus, Bill, Youngster Joey, Scott, none of them. I am referring to truly the most vile character in all of Pokemon. We all know her, and we all have fallen for her deadly trap. Mindy! She is so feared, she's even broken the barrier Pokemon and made it on to Reddit! Having her very own subreddit, r/FuckMindy, that still has active posts to this day. Basically, you go to her house in Snowpoint City. She will offer to trade her Haunter for your Medicham. Now, you can obtain a Medicham pretty easily, right in Victory Road. In return, she will trade you a Haunter that, when traded, will immediately evolve into one of the coolest Pokemon in the franchise, Gengar. Now, I absolutely adore Gengar, if you couldn't tell. So, you go get your Medicham, come back to Snowpoint City, and offer it up, but that is when she gets you. When your defense is down, she stabs you with her dagger right into your back as you wait for the evolution cutscene to begin. But it never does. As Mindy then says, words that rival the greatest villain speeches in fiction, such as Dio Brando, Hisoka, and Buggy. Yes, she says this monologue.
Did my monster turn into something else? Just kidding. I made it hold something that prevents it from evolving.
So yeah, she is basically Satan too. Anyway, next region, Unova. This one was very tough. My first idea was Lintimus Town because of the haunted house, and it is in a savanna, the worst biome in Minecraft. However, this isn't a worst places to live in Minecraft, now is it? So I had to keep looking, and I feel it's an easy shot to take. But when it is my only real option as a target, it'll have to be the victim of my bullet. Lacunosa Town. First, they have these dang walls keeping me stuck inside as if I'm in Attack on Titan. Then, there's a curfew. Now, I'm not one to leave my house after it gets dark already, but I like having the ability to do so if needed. I know it's to keep me safe from the scary ice dragon corpse that will come out of its cave and eat me alive if it smells me. But look at this thing. Then look at me. Kirim looks like it would have a heart attack from a strong gust of wind. I think I could outrun it eventually. Now for Kalos. Well, this region isn't that fair since a couple good ideas for worst place to live. First and foremost, obviously, Geosense Town, which if you play X or Y, that town basically gets a massive sinkhole right in the dead center of town. And nobody does anything to bother fixing it. The mood there is just so grim, since you are surrounded by petrified corpses of Pokemon who fought in the ancient war against most likely Paldea. And those statues are just everywhere you look, and I just feel so uncomfortable ever living there. And do not get me started again on the insane stuff going on in Reflection Cave. If you would like more insight on what's going on in Reflection Cave, with it literally being a gateway to another dimension, I go on a whole other tangent during my Flash Cave creepypasta analysis. So if you're interested, I should have a little iCard popping up now in the corner for that video. And God. Not to mention the extreme levels of criminal activity happening right below the town without anyone noticing till it was far too late. Team Flare literally harboring the guardian of death itself, and not a single person was none the wiser. But I feel picking Geosenge is too much of a cop-out, I'd say. So I feel another example to bring to the table is none other than Laver City, the third biggest city in the whole Kalos region. With a population of 43, this place just gives me the creeps. Firstly, right outside the town is this playground, which I feel only bad things have and will ever happen here. Then, up ahead is a disgusting swamp, and right past that is a tourist trap who will tell you some bad creepypasta and ask for money. Then, right to the east of Laver City, Route 15, which has people hiding in bushes to ambush you and attack you if you walk by. Then, lastly, is a literal abandoned hotel building that has been taken over by a genuine gang. But now onto the actual city. Firstly, look at this clock. It's incorrect and has 13 hours instead of the usual 12. And yes, it is most likely to be meant as a reference to the witching hour, but to that I show you this painting from Lumios's museum, seen 5 years later, where the clock only has 12 listed. So, which is a Game Freak? Tell me, is it 12 hours or 13 hours? Make up your mind. Then, there's the gym leader. Firstly, Valerie is all sorts of unsettling. And well, to say this in a YouTube-friendly way, I think she's been taking one too many trips over to Canalave Library in the Sinnoh region. If she's casually dropping lines to strangers about her physically wanting to become a Pokemon, and a sus line like this, ahem.
What do you think it is exactly that separates humans from Pokemon? Is there even such a need for such a thing? Why should they be separate from each other?
So I'm just saying that Mr. Mime on her team has most likely been put through hell. Poor guy, never stood a chance. Just look at these eyes. Those eyes. I just don't think I could trust whatever she is or whatever she is trying to become.
Hotcha! BMO, how do I look? like the devil!
Next is Alola. You'd want to say Po Town, but hey, like Nanu said, the rent in this area is cheap. And I can't do my boys and Team Skull dirty like that. Then I'd want to say Tapu Village, who, after they tried to build the 50 Mega Mart, it was basically destroyed by Tapu Bulu, and it is now just a Pokemon Center. So I don't think this should really count anymore. So really, I'll just have to hardball it and say all of Pony Island. It's so ugly, and I feel living in Seafolk Village would lose its novelty very fast. Their kahuna is dead until a child took over. Their only trial captain is stoned half the time. Her trial either isn't ready or she makes you go on a fetch quest to all the other islands. I know it's a place I always dread visiting whenever I play Gen 7. Now for Galar, Hulbury, because imagine having to listen to this song constantly play on loop.
Turn the fucking music! Turn the fucking music off! The fuck is the matter with you? Turn the fuck off!
Alright, real answer this time for worst place to live in Galar is obviously Spikemouth, as it's a city that just canonically sucks to live at. Imagine your entire community being lumped into this glorified hallway. And like, sure, you can live with Marnie and Piers, they're cool, but like, it also would include the annoying buffoons that make up Team Yell, and so I'm a pass hard on that one. Just really kills the excitement that Marnie and Pierce bring to the table. Generally, all the cities in Galar serve their purpose pretty well, so I don't think there's much to pull from for a worse place to live there. And even though I am a current day Hilbury and Spikemouth hater, I say this as someone who, back when I was a bored 18-year-old in the quarantine days of November 7th, 2020, had written a extremely cringy 22-chapter fan fiction with my cousin Caleb set in Galar, specifically about my OC named Truck being from Spikemouth. And to make things even more ironic, she also was stated to, later in my OC's life, she moved to Hilbury. So that's just how you can tell a lot of opinions can change with time. Hisui. Now this one's tricky because we only have like 3.5 options to work with. So, I always was a Palkia fan since day one. My older sister Daisy, she was the one who always preferred Dialga. And with the only options really being to live in a thriving town of Jubilife Village, having a cozy place to call home with Cynthia's great grandmother at the ancient retreat, live in the cold tundra of the Pearl Settlement, or in the wet swamp of the Diamond Clan. And I think I will go Diamond Settlement as the worst option, mainly because the Pearl Clan Settlement is basically just a past version of Snowpoint City, and I had already put them as the worst place to live in Sinnoh, so let's avoid a repeat if possible. So basically, think about it this way. When you're cold, you could just put on some layers, or put on a heater, or, best possibility, you have Irita's jeans, where you can wear the most minimalistic clothing possible of just a tank top and booty shorts, and the cold won't even bother you anyway. But a swamp, however, now that would just be downright nasty to live in. It'd probably have a constant awful smell, always be so humid. The only perk would be living with Adaman and Arzu, but Arzu left to live in Jubilife, and you would still have to deal with both Iceken and Melly whenever they are there, and that would be miserable to deal with. However, one interesting point about the Diamond Clan settlement is that with time and effort, it'll slowly grow into my favorite town in the whole franchise, Solaceon Town. So that is something, at least. Paldea. I swear, Gen 9 has some of the most forgettable cities imaginable. I am the biggest Gen 9 defender, and I was able to look past its many faults to truly love this game. But my god, besides Levincia and maybe Artizone, I could not remember a single name of any of the cities. It doesn't help that 90% of them look like a bunch of vowels and consonants just thrown together at random. My idea for the worst place to live in Paldea would be hands down Kaskar. My idea for the worst place to live in Paldea would be hands down
Kaskarafa.
again, with those big walls I mentioned in Lacadosa Town, but now also it's right next to a desert, and there is a constant sandstorm that just flows right into the city, just like Fall Harbor Town. The gym leader? Oh, him, huh? Well, he is an idiot who spends more of his time outside of his city than in it. And instead of doing his duties as gym leader, he goes gambling at auction houses. Okay, I'm better now. I just really hate Kofu. He could go and sit right next to Scott as worst Pokemon characters of all time. Anyway, next region, Kitakami. Now, I may be pretty biased to this one, as it being the hometown of the just greatest Pokemon character in the entire franchise, Kieran. But luckily for me, there is only one single settlement in the region, being Masui Town. But even looking at this with bias, this place just genuinely sucks. They have a really rude and all around not nice Nurse Joy. A greedy, I assume, mayor trying to turn the place into a massive tourist trap, having a canonical body count of 4 canonical murder victims, having a awful treatment of immigrants, and a track record of extreme racism to the point where one immigrant had to hide in a cave and wear a mask if he ever left it. Well, that should be all of them now. Hey now, wait a moment, Mr. Pines. You're forgetting Orr from Coliseum, Pokemon Rangers, Floor, Almia, Oblivia, Pokken Tournaments, Firium, the card games Holland region, Pokemon Snap 2's Lentil region, and Pokemon Masters EX's Passio. You can't forget those. They're important too. Stanley, I don't want to cover those. I've not played the Ranger games, and Coliseum and Pokemon Snap 2, I've only ever played a quarter of, and I just morally do not like Pokemon Master Sex. So maybe that could be a future video. The worst places to live in the Pokemon spin-off regions. Yeah, let's do that instead. A future task for another day. Though, from what I have played of Pokemon Coliseum, I feel I'd get stabbed, shot, and trafficked all at once just by simply walking through Pyrite Town or anywhere else in the Ore region. And I definitely want to get to playing the Ranger games at some point this year. I have them all in front of me right now, so hopefully with some extra time, I'll be able to get to it. Now, assuming we don't get any further interruptions, that should be all for today. Now, I would love to read your guys' picks in the comments on what you think the worst place to live in every Pokemon region would be. And remember that the Pokemon Volbeat learns the move Infestation at level 47. Thank you all for watching. See ya.